is a Rhode Island state senator, Cynthia Mendes, and she has, and Matt Brown have been leading hashtag Sleep Out Rhode Island for over 2 weeks, sleeping in tents through storms and winter weather. Senator Mendes, thank you so much for joining me on location. How are you doing that?
Thank you, Ben, for having me. It's a windy day today, but it is not. It's above freezing, so we're doing all right.
You're bringing attention to the unhoused crisis that is there in Rhode Island, but we are clearly aware that it is everywhere across the country. Tell us what inspired you to take this particular action, and how has that experience been in Rhode Island? I'm from Boston. I know it's cold right now.
It's very cold. Several things inspired this action. The first thing was, before I ever got into politics, this was the work that I did, worked with folks that were unhoused and worked on the street, helping folks to find housing and shelter. And fast forward to being a senator, it was just utterly a gut punch to be able to see that the leaders of this state did not care that we had unhoused folks. We've now, to be clear, Rhode Island's always had a crisis, always had an issue with basically fundamentally being okay that some people sleep outside. But this year's particularly different in the fact that we had COVID. So we had unprecedented, going into this year, we had unprecedented numbers of Rhode Islanders sleeping outside. And then to add insult to injury, are what I consider cruel and negligent leaders of the state received federal funding from COVID relief money through the American Rescue Plan that was specifically earmarked to help address this crisis in particular, among others, and they're sitting on it. We're the only Democratic state in the country that has not spent a penny of its American Rescue Plan money. So we're sitting in the middle of a crisis with more, we were sitting in the middle of a crisis of the most unhoused folks in Rhode Island. And we're also sitting on maybe the most money that we've had in order to address it. So we're completely out of excuses. And then we had a surplus. So the state's budget was on track to have a surplus of over $600 million. And 10 months ago, service providers and advocates were begging and pleading. They say, we have too many, we don't have enough beds, we don't have plan, we need to make a plan before winter. 10 months ago, winter's here. And not only do we have the unspent, untouched ARPA money, not only do we have a surplus like we've never had before, the state decided to sell group homes. So the state owned property that it could have used for shelter. It owned property that it could have provided to the service providers and the shelters, and they sold them for millions of dollars. So why I'm out here, I have no choice. I have no choice. This is state-sanctioned violence. They are hell-bent on cruelty, and it is the policy of this state and it's the policy of the leaders of the state that some people should live outside, that some people should freeze to death this winter, and it's fundamentally wrong and inhumane. They've left us no choice.
Wow.
Out of homelessness, but you can. Your prescription is called a law. Spend the money on housing now. So we need you to hear us out. Follow your pride. Come and meet with us, and let's come up with a plan to end the homelessness crisis now.
Yeah, all we heard was the singing and the band and the club singers. That's all we heard tonight.
That was 3 nights in to this protest and this direct action. We arrived on night 1 with just 6 of us. To be clear, I was only able to just I wasn't even able to put down my backpack. The Capitol Police accosted us, threatened to arrest us. We said we were not leaving. And they called the state police, and that caused multiple press to come out because they heard that a senator and my running mate, Matt Brown, were probably going to be arrested. And then we were not arrested because they couldn't cite a law we were breaking or an ordinance. And so we were not arrested. And they backed down, thankfully. But that didn't prevent them from harassing us all night. So we finally did get to pitch our tents and set up camp. And it was just a few of us. We didn't even get to get the word out to folks that we were starting protests because we didn't even get to announce it. And the police, came and yelled at us in our tents all night long. So we got no sleep. And that's just a fraction of the harassment that we know our unhoused friends go through, because they're not only subject to live under this policy where some people live outside and some people should freeze in the winter, and but they're also criminalized for it. And so that was night one. Night two was in a tremendous storm that broke some of our tents. But night three, we had organized a vigil, and on the other side of the State House, the governor McKee, was having a tree lighting with an orchestra and just the most elaborate thing you can imagine. And after the vigil, people had enough. We were done grieving. We're just angry. And organizers organized themselves and they marched around to the other side of the state. So that's what you're seeing in this clip right now. They marched around to the other side of the Capitol where the tree lighting was happening. And at the end of the tree lighting, it didn't even get to the end of the tree lighting. They just let in. They couldn't even, it was like a floodgate. And we had formerly unhoused folks that were helping organize. You could just feel the pain of finally having a place to direct it to the person that was governing cruelty, was governing in an inhumane way. And it was just like someone set a match on fire. And what you saw there also was Dr. Nathan Paul, who has the bullhorn there. And he's one of the main organizers who was patient after patient, unhoused patient. And as you can hear, one of the lines he said was like, I cannot prescribe my patients out of homelessness. Like you, Governor McKee, have the prescription to do that. It is called the law, and he's begging him to do that. And so that's just a glimpse of like how we started the first 3 days. And I think the picture that really captures it at the end of that, I mean, the shouting you could hear across the plaza, you could hear it on the other side of the Capitol. But the Governor McKee's response, which was, I didn't hear anything but the music, when we know he heard. We know he heard the screams of activists, service providers, doctors, nurses, formerly unhoused. We know that he heard their cries. And that that just little 3 seconds is the perfect picture of the cruel, willful ignorance that we are up against. So of course we had to pitch a tent outside of the State House because they refused to see the problem that is 100% their responsibility.
And we see the governor there, Senator Mendes. I know that, and Ben, I think you're back with us.
Yes.
So we had played a clip of of basically the activist efforts to bring attention to it, and then interactions with authorities, police, both state and Capitol. And there was a confrontation where they, including Senator Mendes, were threatened with arrest.
That's right. Yeah.
But the other thing I wanted to ask about was today. Apparently, there's going to be some kind of announcement from the governor, and that's E2. I was just curious on your thoughts on this, Senator Mendes.
Yeah, it's unbelievable to me. We're on day 17 here outside in this direct action, and 3 days ago, we had another massive action. We've been having these community talking circles, and we had a massive one, and we had over 200, about 240 people come out for that. And then we had about almost 100 people sleep out on the plaza. And that was Monday. 3 days later, the governor announces that now all of a sudden that it's a priority for him to address the crisis of homelessness in this state. So when you tell people power works.
Interesting how
public
that changes.
pressure
Absolutely.
works. Moving
Absolutely.
the moral pressure works. And I'm going to tell you, I had told folks we were getting really hopeful. We started seeing things happen, last week. And I said, we're not here for hope. We're here for action. And
That's
to
it.
be clear, we need to get out of the mindset of begging and pleading and asking bad politicians to do good things. I know that there will be a day where we will have good politicians in office. We will have good leaders. We will have the people that have the stories of their neighbors etched on their heart. That live to protect human dignity and safety, and have those people running the state. That is not beyond us. That is possible. That is on our fingertips. And now we've seen it. And I don't think there's any going back. There is no going back. There's no going
That's
back.
right.
When you see the level of cruelty and you see what we're capable of, we saw ministers. I'm talking people in their 70s sleeping out every single night here with us. Doctors sleeping out every single night with us. Caseworkers, a caseworker for foster youth. And this caseworker particularly was a former foster youth and was told by his caseworker, prepare to be homeless. And he said, absolutely not. And he's done everything in his power to turn his life around to fight for other youth. And when this action came along, I didn't know him. Most of these people I did not know. They all showed up and said, this is my fight. This is my fight. I'm with you. These are for my people. And those are the leaders that we need in this state. Those are the people we need in the seats of decision making. So we got to get out of this mindset that we got to beg and plead for crumbs and that we got to push and pressure bad politicians to do good things. Because there is there is a day coming. There's a reckoning. There's a reckoning. And when that reckoning comes, there will be leaders to rise up and take those seats. And it's coming soon.
Ooh. Senator Mendes, I don't mean to change this subject, and I think it's all kind of tightly, strung together. But I know that you're part of a political cooperative, so I don't think that we got to it earlier in the interview. If you could just maybe give us a brief background on yourself and how, because all of this is very community based, including the cooperative itself, is my 100%. Understanding.
Yeah, absolutely. I ran with the Rhode Island Political Cooperative in 2020, which was this model that we should have working class people, the heroes in the community, run and represent their community. In Rhode Island, to be clear, the political establishment has a tight grip on getting into office. In Rhode Island, you don't run for office unless you've been tapped on the shoulder by the Rhode Island political establishment. And if you do try to run, you absolutely don't win. There's no resources for you to do it outside of the corrupt party. There's no way to do it. And so the Rhode Island Political Cooperative is a way of folks being able to work together, share resources, get campaign manager, campaign plan, training. Mind you, I had never planned on running for office. This was not in my wheelhouse. I didn't know all the training you need to run for office. So now, mind you, I'm going to do a quick, run through. I was a single mom working 2 jobs, never planned on running for office. I ran with a slate of 23 other candidates. I took on the Senate finance chair, who was slated to be the next Senate president, one of the most powerful men in the state. He outspent us 4-1. He had unlimited resources, unlimited power. He outspent us 4-1. We beat him 62-38.
Wow.
We spanked him nationally.
Yes, you did.
We made local and national. And I didn't go in alone. This is the other thing. I didn't run alone and I didn't go in alone. We won over 10 seats. And so, which was a progressive tidal wave. So now for 2022, the Rhode Island Political Cooperative has demonstrated to the state, no, you have a place here. The Green New Deal, a living wage, racial justice, environmental justice, those things are within your grasp we got to get you in the seats of decision making. Again, stop asking bad politicians to do good things. We got to get you in there. And so in 2022 now, the Rhode Island Political Cooperative is running a slate of 50 candidates for the state legislature and some city councils as well. And I'm running for lieutenant governor, and my running mate, Matt Brown, is running for governor in Rhode Island. So we're running together on a ticket, and we're running alongside the Rhode Island Political Cooperative. So we have a shared platform. So we're running on the same things. $19 living wage. We're running on, a Green New Deal, Medicare for all the things that people have been begging and pleading this state to pay attention to for a really long time. And we are now going to have the governing majority to be able to do that. And it is the necessary turn that we need to make in order to right hundreds of years of wrong, hundreds of years of greed and oppression.
Yeah. Yes. Senator Mendes, you said that one day there will be leadership that is accountable to the people and does well for the people. I believe that day has already come. And so I want to wish you and your running mate best of luck in that campaign. Could you tell everyone how they can get up and, most importantly, support this action that you're in right now? And what can the people do to help?
Yeah, absolutely. So they can sign up for we have a petition. It's bit.ly, so bit.ly/sleepout petition. So bit.ly/sleepout petition. They can sign that. They can also find our website, which is Matt and Cynthia 4RI. And my Twitter handle is @Cynthia_Mendes_. So those are ways that you can get in touch with us and get connected. All the support and resources are necessary, not just for this fight, but we are fighting multiple fights on multiple fronts. And we've proven in the 17 days that we can get shit done when we do it together. So thank you all.
That's right. Our pleasure. Rhode Island State Senator. And we're going to be pushing for you. We would love to have you back, especially when my internet is a little bit more stable. Thank you for what you're doing and for all the work that you guys are doing on behalf of the unhoused there in Rhode Island.
This is such an honor. Thank you so much for having me. Look forward to next time.
The pleasure is ours.